of the City of St. Pete Beach City Commission. Today is December 21st, 2023. It is 7:30 a.m. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, if you'll please do the roll call.
Vice Mayor Grill.
Here.
Commissioner Frislowski.
Here.
Commissioner Marone.
Here.
Commissioner Grouse.
Here.
Mayor Petrilla.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, good morning, everyone. Commissioners, I have to say I am encouraged by the responses that we've seen over the last 48 hours or so. I think we have a lot of great candidates. I'm encouraged by the outpouring of support from residents. And so I think the next step was for the city attorney to give us kind of maybe a roadmap of how to best approach this. Andrew, if you'd like.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. First, let me just say that we're here this morning in an unprecedented situation. 4 out of the 5 of the members of the Commission have announced their intention to resign. And the Charter doesn't really address this situation. It tells us that if 2 or more seats simultaneously resign, the remaining commission shall call a special election within 15 days. So what we have effectively done is try to arrange for a staggering of the resignations between now and December 30th, so that the remaining commissioners can appoint the successor to the vacant seat. The reason for this is that there's no way to have a special election until August because after the charter was written this way, we aligned ourselves, like a lot of local governments in Dallas County and around the state, with the supervisor of elections schedule, because the technology used for elections and required to use for elections is very expensive. The vendors, it's trickier than it used to be, let's just put it that way. So in effect, what will happen over the next 2 weeks before the 30th is that this commission will become, with the exception of the mayor, an appointed commission and not an elected commission. That's what's unprecedented here. There are a lot of things that have to be done in the next month or 2, not the least of which hiring a permanent city manager, dealing with some major developments, dealing with the renourishment. So I ask you to think carefully about your decisions and also think carefully about who you believe would serve best in the vacant seats. My recommendation would be to handle one, unless there's a change in anybody's mind on doing this, resigning, which they should state so today. I would suggest that you handle one seat this morning and get that individual seated for the meetings that are scheduled next week, and do it in that manner. I do want to tell you that I can't guarantee that somebody might challenge this. I've told you that the language says that when 2 or more seats are simultaneously vacated, you have to call a special election. We're interpreting simultaneous to mean at the same time on the same date. So if we stagger it out over the next 9 days, then we can at least avoid that guarantee you that it won't be challenged. It may. Who knows? This is the best that I can do. The best that we can do is unusual circumstances, very unprecedented circumstances. So this is the best that we can do. Just stagger it out over the course of a couple of days.
Thank you, City Attorney. So appreciate what you said about staggering it over a couple days. I did want to ask the commissioners, since we seem to have a lot of the individuals that have submitted letters of interest here present today, if we want to take the time to interview as many of them as we can in preparation of the meetings next week. Or if you would prefer to wait to have those individuals come back once we establish an order.
If I may, Mayor, the only issue with that is commissioners that are vacating their seat interviewing potential replacements, right? Because they should not be involved in the process at all. So I think it is important to pick a district based on the letters of support. I think District 4 kind of, in my mind, makes sense today, just because of the fact that there are people in the community. It almost feels kind of like a quasi-election where there's people in the community that have issued letters of support, so you understand the community is involved. But I would just be wary of interviewing everyone, because you could potentially be interviewing someone from your district.
Okay. Yes.
Can I ask a question to the city attorney for some clarity? So the question I have for the city attorney is, and just to make sure it's clear, I've received some questions from residents as well as my own reading of the statute. And I guess, to be blunt, are we sure that interim appointed officials are required to fill Form 6? And the reason I ask that is, if we read the statute, it only refers to, quote, elected officials multiple times. Interim officials are not elected officials, as we know they're appointed. Second is, and anyone who wants to take a look again, on the Commission on Ethics homepage, there's information, of course. One of their, about the middle of the page, there's a file, there's a link to what they call their, quote, 2024 legislative recommendations. And in those legislative recommendations, and I think they do this every year, these are things they would propose to the legislature from an ethics standpoint. On the second page, there is, and I need my glasses and I'll read it, there's a section called Individuals Appointed to Fill an Elected Office. The Commission should consider a recommendation that this section be amended to clarify that individuals appointed to complete the remainder of the term of office for a Form 6 office are required to complete a Form 6 disclosure. So my conclusion from reading that, and again, I'm not a lawyer, so I turn this to the city attorney's office, is to say, it would seem that the Ethics Committee realized or recognizes there's ambiguity in the law, and they're asking for clarity. It's clear that their intent is for everybody, but at this point, we're only talking about interim officials, not elected officials. So if they need to go clarify the law, is there room, and yes, I am looking for a loophole, is there room in the law to say that interim officials do not need to complete Form 6? And I'll take it to the next step, and where I'm headed is, our charter allows any of us to step down, of course, but then we can be named by the Commission as an interim official. Because one of my concerns is that we are running at the speed of light to get this done, and we need to get this done. We're running at the speed of light. How can we get more time so we can take a breath, slow down, to make sure that we have everything, all the I's dotted and T's crossed? We come back in January and we figure this out. Thank you.
If I may, Andrew. So the disclosure requirements are found in Florida Statute 112.3144. Right, and the subparagraph 1D is what requires mayors and elected members of the governing body to file this disclosure. Now, when you go down to the end of subparagraph 10 specifically says, for this scenario, when an elected local officer specified in paragraph 1D, which is the mayor or elected official, leaves office before the expiration of his or her term, any individual appointed to replace such officer for the remainder of that term must file a full and public disclosure of financial interest annually thereafter for the remainder of his or her term. So it is our position that anyone appointed would have to file a full disclosure if they are appointed and in office as of December 31st.
But if I may, remainder of the term, we would be appointing for districts 1 and 3, not for 2 and 4, for the remainder of the term. 2 and 4 don't expire for another year and a quarter. And we'll have a special election in August.
Everything that I've heard, and I know the clerk has reached out to the Commission on Ethics too, people appointed before December 31st actually will be required to file 2 Form 6s. So they'll be required to file a Form 6 for 2023, and then once they're in office after December 31st, even if they're only in office till March, they'll be required to file a Form 6 for 2024.
Okay?
Because they're appointed in 2023.
And I said it before, I'm willing to put whatever energy and resources I have into trying to, I mean, I find the biggest unfairness here is applying the law to someone that didn't have to file under this form when they were elected. So I think that there should have been a good argument, and I don't know why it wasn't made stronger, of grandfathering then locally elected officials and letting them finish out their terms under the same rules that they were elected under. And I'm willing to fight as hard as I can between now and when that is due next year. This is happening in many communities, Naples, all over the place, on the other side of the state, in this county. You know, if you want to fight this, I'll fight it with you. But I don't know that having someone who's an elected official resign and then turning around and having them appointed makes I think the exposure there is a lot greater, as well as the criticism.
Thank you. All right. So we have, for District 1, we have the 2 individuals running for office and 1 additional person that have submitted letters of interest. District 2, we have 1 individual. District 3, we have a commissioner-elect and 2 additional individuals who have submitted letters. A 4th has withdrawn their application. And for District 4, we have 3 individuals who have submitted letters of interest to serve. Do the commissioners have any preference in which order we tackle these today? Is there anyone in particular who would like to say today is my last day? Or do we take the Assistant City Attorney's recommendation and start with District 4 today?
I have a couple comments, quick comments. My understanding is that there are 3 applicants for District 4, but not all 3 of them are here today. 1 could not make it. That's my understanding. So although I respect what the city attorney's recommending, we have next week. I know nobody wants this to go into next week, but seems to me in fairness, might be better to wait for all 3 to be here. District 3, I talked with the city clerk today, and the commissioner-elect still is not absolutely solid with her issue with her employment. So I would say we hold off on that one. District 2, there's only 1 applicant. I would like to see more than 1 applicant before we do that. So, I mean, that's kind of my just general thoughts for today.
And just keep in mind, any district that we don't fill, I think it'd be our advice to reopen the interest period, right, to allow, so if we fill 1 or 4 or someone today, then the other districts will be reopened to allow more applicants to come in. Correct?
Okay, okay,
Just in fundamental fairness.
okay.
So my thought is,
Mayor, I
okay.
will say that I did speak with Betty Riznicki yesterday late, because I wanted to find out if she had resolved her approval process with her employer. And I did encourage her to send in her name just to validate that she's still interested. She just needs to get that. So I agree with Commissioner Kozlowski, giving her as much time as possible to get that approval in place is a good thing. She is the obviously expected elected person in March. So it would be best to have her appointed if at all possible. And so giving her a little bit more time would be appropriate.
Thank you.
Could I also just make one, I want to kind of get one clarification. Heard our city attorney talk earlier about, obviously, when somebody resigns, they don't not have an option to vote on who their replacement is. I understand that part of it, but are you discouraging anyone voicing their opinion on that issue? I mean, can there be discussion, or are you also saying there shouldn't be any discussion related to that decision?
Discussion on what topic, sir?
Each one of our seats. I mean, I know we can't vote on our seat because we have to resign in order for there to be an appointment. But is there a...
I think you can, if you want to make a recommendation, I agree with Matthew that being involved in an interview process for your seat, I think you should not do. But if you already know somebody that you think you would recommend that they appoint, and then you vacate your seat, just remember that none of this can happen until there's a vacant.
Right, okay.
It's all triggered by vacancy. But I see no problem with any of you who are planning on resigning, stating for the record before you resign who you believe would be best suited to fill your chair.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yes.
Just, excuse me, City Attorney, as a follow-on to that, and I assume, of course, at the moment we resign from our seat and step down from the dais, we become a citizen, a regular citizen, which we are already, but that gives us, a sunshine rule is no longer applicable, and that gives us our opportunity to stand at the podium during the public comment section to provide our 3 minutes of opinion or views. Am I correct?
You need to, well, let me just say this. There is a 2-year window where you can't be hired as a lobbyist to lobby for someone.
Yeah.
That's that. But
Right.
if you want, yes, if you resign and you say, I resign effective immediately, and you vacate your seat, you are a private citizen at that point. And then yes, you can speak at any public meeting as a private citizen.
Understood. Thank you.
So, kind of having said what I said earlier, and I don't have a preference as to which order this goes in. I mean, I'm just trying to think of what's logical and in the best interest of the city. There are 3 applicants for District 1. Are all 3 of those applicants here this morning?
Right.
Sounds like no.
I think 1, 2.
I see 2.
And is Deborah Edney here? She's not. Okay. Maybe what we can do is kind of establish an order and let people know what day we're going to be tackling which seat, so that they can be prepared and
that's a
have
good
at
idea.
least 3 or 4 days.
I agree.
And so with that in mind, since we don't have confirmation on District 3, we do not have everyone here from District 4 or 1. That really only leaves District 2 that I think we could very easily tackle today.
I would As I mentioned earlier, I think we have an option to still allow that opening. I would rather not be forced to have one choice.
Absolutely.
I don't know how my commissioners feel, but
I
agree
think
with
based
Commissioner.
on the 50 some odd emails that we received, maybe more, there's been notifications on the city website, there's been notifications on the city social media. I know I put it out to everybody. I think we need to move forward today. I do not want to leave this with only 4 meetings left for next week. If we do that, then we have 0 options. And so we need to tackle at least 1 seat today.
I do not agree.
Yeah.
I feel strongly this is an important decision. We're putting someone in an elected position.
Yep.
10,000 people in this city, 50 people make a difference, but not to elect somebody or appoint somebody effectively.
So we have 2 of the 3 people from District 4. I'm willing to resign right now, and you can interview those 2 people, interview the third tomorrow if they're willing to show up for an interview, make a decision, and then move forward right after that decision with the next seat.
And I will echo that. I am willing to step down today also. 2 of the applicants are here, so I'm willing to do that also.
I'd rather see, we have 4 districts, we have 4 meetings scheduled. We still have a few extra days that we didn't schedule meetings next week. We can do this on 30 and 31 if necessary. Well, on 30, excuse me, that gives us 5 days. It's 1 a day. I echo Commissioner Frozlowski's comments. I would not like to see us split it up. I think it's good to get one whole piece done as we compare candidates, because then we don't remember, and, oh, what did so-and-so say on Thursday? Oh, I don't remember, because our next meeting is Tuesday. So we're 4 days now, and I think we can just take a piece by piece and move forward. I also echo, I think, yes, we seem to have a number of letters of support that came out very quickly, but really, we only put this out, has it been 48 hours even, that we've been out to the public for asking for letters of interest. So if we push it to next week, we also open that up and get a broader view. So that's
City Clerk.
So this morning, I spoke with Amy Bonsall, who sent in her letter of interest for District 4. She is available. She didn't know which day she would have to be here, right? It is kind of short notice. I don't blame her. But she is available Zoom right now, so I could put her on Zoom. That is an option. And then we would have all 3 candidates, at least for District 4 today. I'm speaking to her right now.
Okay. Do we have any objections to that?
I think that sounds reasonable.
The only question I have is, what is our cutoff time today? I know
8:45, I believe. Is that,
Well, I
Commissioner?
was going to have to leave at 9, but if I resign, I'll be leaving before 9, so I won't be, I'll defer to Commissioner Frozlowski, because I know he had a meeting at 9:30.
Yeah, I have a meeting at 9:30.
So you need to leave what time? I just want to, the reason I'm
9:30,
asking is,
I could do it virtually, so I need to leave at probably 9:25.
I just want to be sure that we provide enough time for all the candidates and for questions and public comment.
So it looks like we have an hour and 30 minutes.
So I'm going to go ahead and officially announce my resignation as District 4 Commissioner, regrettably under these circumstances. I'm not going to say too much right now because I don't want to waste the rest of this commission's valuable time and these folks out here. I will say it was a pleasure, honor to serve with this commission. I think this is an incredibly strong commission. We've had really, really robust conversations and discussions. We've done a lot of heavy lifting in what I think is a short period of time. I'm really disappointed that I can't close this out with the rest of my term. I am committed to both District 4 and the city, greater city at large, to assist wherever I can, whether it's the person who's filling my seat, whether it's a advisory board, whatever it is, city manager, city attorneys, wherever I can be of service. I want to thank the city attorneys, including Andrew, thank you for all of your guidance. Wayne, thank you for stepping in and putting your hands on the wheel and righting the ship. We appreciate it. That's all I'm going to say for now. I look forward to speaking with you guys someday where I can actually talk to you all, and I definitely will be supporting the mayor as he drives this forward. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you for your service.
And we appreciate your service
thank you.
very much.
Matthew?
Okay, Mayor, now you have a vacancy, and the remainder of the commission has to deal with the vacancy.
Okay, thank you. Shall we start with the applicants in alphabetical order?
Yeah.
Good as any.
All right. Good morning, Amy. I think you are muted.
I think she heard you.
Sorry, you're addressing me. I couldn't hear the question.
We just said good morning.
Good morning.
Great. So we'll open up for questions from the commissioners. I think maybe the very first question I would have, which probably everyone is asking, what is prompting you to want to fill this position?
Just so I'm clear, are the questions directed at me at this moment?
They are.
Got it. Thank you. I missed the first few minutes, so I wasn't sure. Amy Bonsall, what is prompting me to put my hand forward right now is I've recently engaged in council meetings, and I've seen this to be a critical juncture in St. Pete Beach's growth. I have a background in human-centered design, which simply put is a process of understanding and addressing both people and business needs. I've spent my career supporting the world's biggest companies in developing and pursuing growth plans. For instance, helping John Deere expand its impact, Google, and evolving one of its core businesses. It was always a process of deeply understanding the needs of all constituents and identifying a path forward that supported all needs. And it strikes me that some of these growth questions would benefit from that expertise, and now feels like an appropriate moment to help.
Thank you. Commissioners, what questions do you have?
I have can you let us know how you've been active in the community, St. Pete Beach?
Yeah, so I'm relatively new to St. Pete Beach. I have been here just over a year. I have been recently attending council meetings.
Recently meaning how long?
In the past month.
Okay, thank you.
And how long have you been?
I do want to flag, I'm present when I can. I think Rich flagged this as well. I also travel. I'm traveling now. Work can take me out of state. So I just wanted to flag that in case that's of concern, and to understand what would be the implications of that.
How long have you been a resident?
Yes.
How long?
How long have you been a resident?
Oh, sorry. Since early November of 2022.
November of 2022.
I'm not hearing all the questions. I apologize. So, what was that one?
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
No, I don't think there was a question. I think he was just repeating what you had said.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
So, Amy, this is Commissioner Grill. My question I have is, from your perspective and wanting to get involved, what do you think would be our top priorities that you would want to see us work on if you join the commission?
Absolutely. I think one of the key things for me is how do we find a smoother path forward for the redevelopment that is, set to be happening. It felt challenging, and I believe that there's an opportunity to create a smoother path forward. So that would be my primary consideration.
Any further questions?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mayor, if I could also just point out that just like we've asked board members, advisory board members, that under question asked is that, if anybody is actively involved in or part of a specialty advocacy group, that they be willing to resign from that group, just to give the utmost appearance of impartiality when they're on the dais.
So as a follow-up to that, this is Ward Frizzlowski, City Commissioner. Are you a member of any special advocacy group?
So I have spent time with the St. Pete Beach Protect team, but I don't know that I'm officially a member of that. I'm on the mailing list. Happy to do what I would need to create clarity about my independence.
And did you understand the city attorney's point?
Sorry, can you repeat that question? I'm not
Did you understand what the city attorney just mentioned?
I did, yes. I've disclosed the one potential conflict. I know of no others.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor is aware of this. I said it also includes potential homeowners association groups, anything that is involved in the city that you may need to step down from. Yeah.
Got it. I'm not in other groups.
Amy, this is Commissioner Grill. Can you expand a little bit on why did you apply for this? Why did you put up your hand and want to join the commission, if you could?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that the most impactful way that we can serve our communities and our country is by getting involved and serving at a local level. As I said, I'm relatively new to the city, but I spent a lot of my career moving around the world, and I felt immediately at home when I got here. And I am invested in the city and its growth, and I recognize I'm new and I have things to learn, so I want to be really transparent with that. But I would like to support the city in its time of need.
Thank you for that.
Any further questions? All right, Amy, thank you so much.
Yes.
One more from Vice Mayor Grill.
I think we need to put all of our candidates through their paces. So Amy, can you tell us a bit more about your background, and you've had a lot of good, diverse experiences, but how do you see those experiences helping you, and how would they help you if you became commissioner?
Absolutely. Yeah, so a little bit more about my background. I started my career as an engineer, spent several years as an engineer, went to business school overseas, worked as a strategy consultant to top companies in London for a few years, and then I joined at one of the world's preeminent innovation consulting firms, and they took me around the world, where I consulted with Fortune 500 companies worldwide on their growth plans. A big part of, I now run my own business, but a big part of my career has always been working with people and finding a middle way, understanding a variety of different perspectives and needs, and really bringing people together. Another big part of that has really been recognizing and identifying paths forward when it feels like we're in a stuck position. Part of my expertise is identifying new paths forward. So it's this background that makes me feel I have something to contribute at city level. I've also spent the past 3 years volunteering with a community association in Maine, and and preserve main lakes and waterways. A big part of that has been working at state level and bringing together communities across the state. So I do have community experience that feels applicable as well. Does that address the question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I may have, just hold on a second, I'm just looking at her resume here.
I actually have a comment on the process that I should have brought up, maybe should have brought up earlier, but I just remembered, and the process that I went through, very similar to this in the beginning of 2021, when I was named and interviewed as interim candidate. We typically would have the other applicants for the position in the city clerk's office, not listening or watching the proceedings in fairness, because I'm wondering if we should not be doing that now.
Might be a little late for that.
I know, might be a little bit late, but
Yeah.
we need to be fair and transparent in what we do.
I think the only fair way now is to move forward as is, because if we ask, Amy to step off, or if we ask one of the other applicants to leave, they've already heard her responses.
I understand. My question is then to the city attorney is, do we move forward? What do we do with this situation, at this juncture? Certainly we can do it for districts 2, 3, and 4, and I'm assuming maybe we'll have a process for District 2, but.
Mr. Vice Mayor, there's really no rules for what's happening here, other than the fact that I'm trying to stagger the filling of these seats in order to avoid a simultaneous vacancy. So if the commission feels they don't want the other candidates for District 4 in the room or on the TV while they interview the other ones, that's completely up to you, but I would say that time is of the essence here.
I'm all right to move forward.
I think we need to move forward here.
Yeah.
I appreciate the comments, but I think we're in an unusual situation here.
All right. Do we have Rich Lawrence here?
I would like to say just thank you to Amy for putting the name in it. It is nice to see people stepping up in a time of need, so I appreciate that. I'm sure we all appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So would you like me to step out now of the Zoom room?
You're okay. You can stay on if you like, or you can sign off if you like.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners.
Maybe we start with the same question. What's prompting you to want to serve in this capacity?
All right, well, I've kind of had a lifetime of stepping into the breach. I don't know if you had a chance to read my resume or my letter of intent, so I won't go over all that stuff. But I've been a public servant for 33 years in the military, and everything from Army infantry officer to Coast Guard rescue pilot to commanding officer, all those type of things. So I've kind of got a life history of stepping in and solving problems. And I kind of watched what's been transpiring here over the last year or so, and especially the last week or so with all the resignations being posted. And quite frankly, I thought, well, I guess nobody else is going to do this, so I'm the guy that usually steps in and goes, I'll tackle it. But now I see I've got some others. That's a good thing. I think more is better. But anyway, I saw this opening, I saw a problem, and I'm just one of those guys that likes to fix things. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Commissioners?
How long have you lived in St. Pete Beach, and how have you been involved in the community?
Sure, 32 years, so moved here in 91, and I was in the Coast Guard, so I came and went. We've had the same home here the whole time, and lived here 10 years straight now, since I retired from the Coast Guard. As far as involved in the community, I've been to a lot of these meetings. You probably don't recognize my face, but I've sat in on many of these, just kind of keeping abreast of what's going on. I was instrumental with some other folks. If anybody remembers the speed bumps on 22nd Avenue and Sunset, I worked with Melinda on putting those in, gosh, 20 years ago, because we had a bunch of kids, like 20 in that neighborhood at that time. Also worked with some other folks on the infamous Dog Beach down on 1st Avenue and 2nd Avenue, when we had the big kerfuffle over dogs running wild, and we kind of helped meet a compromise to make a dog beach down at the end of Pass the Grill. So I was kind of like the leader of that movement. So, but a lot of things like that, and just have a lot of interest in our wonderful city.
Have you been, are you a member of Pass the Grill, Vina DeMar?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Are you a member of the local community association?
Yes, I am, yeah. I
Have
do
you been
get my
attending
discount
meetings?
card to prove it.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Have you served on any of the city boards, or are you a member of any of the other citywide?
No, I have not served on any board. Funny enough, I actually thought about running for District 4 when it was up, and then I heard Chris Marone was in, and I hadn't really given it a lot of thought back then, so I kind of bowed out. But no, I mean, there's a couple of things where I sign petitions once in a while, but I'm no formal member of any committee, board, or organization.
Organization, okay.
Correct.
Thanks.
So, Mr. Lorenz, let me ask you the same question I asked the previous candidate, and what do you view, what's your view as our top 2 or 3 items that we need to address at the city, and how would you address those?
Absolutely. I think the elephant in the room is clearly the conditional use permits for the Serrata and the trade wind. So I've been kind of following that with interest. Have no opinion on it yet, but I've obviously been following that. I think beach re-nourishment's a big one with the Army Corps of Engineers getting that fixed. My compliments to the folks that put the dunes in down south of the grill to the end of Pass the Grill. I think that was a great move forward. But and while I mentioned that, in my capacity as a Coast Guard officer when I was stationed out in San Diego, I actually worked with the Army Corps of Engineers to do dredging and filling and that type of thing. So I'm no stranger to how to get that done. But those, to me, are 2 of the bigger issues. And just, I would say a third, just overall, that balance between residents and businesses, you know, that the growth factor, that's something that has me extremely interested to see where we're going with that.
Okay. So can you, from your background then, and it's quite extensive, how do you feel your experiences will help you as a commissioner?
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting. Over the long military career I've had, I've worked with all different levels of government. I mean, I used to work with the mayor of Clearwater. I worked with Pinellas County commissioners on some issues, all related to when I was a commanding officer of the air station over at Clearwater St. Pete Airport. It was a huge enterprise. We had 550 people. So believe it or not, I had to get involved in politics and working with folks and to solve issues and to get support for things we were trying to get done in the Coast Guard budget. So a lot of those type of things. And I'm sorry, can you repeat the opening question again?
Sure. From your perspective, you've had a lot of good experiences.
Got it. I just want to make sure I give you an accurate answer. Thank you. So all that kind of working with those folks, I've also was sort of a pseudo judge in the military, so I had to sit down and listen to cases. It was all non-judicial punishment type of things, but I had to sit down, listen to folks, and you know, it was a balance of their career in my hands. And I took that very seriously. So I feel like I'm a very good listener. I can kind of see both sides of an argument. And then at the end of the day, make decisions that affect people's lives. In this case, it would be directly related to issues that face all the residents and the business owners of St. Pete Beach. So I feel like I'm a balanced guy. I don't come in with a lot of bias. I'm very good at listening to both sides of an issue, or multiple sides of an issue, and making a decision. And I also enjoy working as a team. I've had to do that my entire career. I mean, I've been on, you know, $150 million projects for the military where I had to form a team, and I had to luckily surround myself with really smart folks and learn how to listen to those folks. And sometimes I had an idea, and it was, this is where we're going to go. And boy, after listening to the rest of the team, you're like, I'm wrong. They got the right answer, and that's what we're going with.
You said you are retired.
Yes.
So you're familiar, and it's something maybe, I don't know if Ms. Bonsil's still on the line. I'm not sure we clarified 100% through her question about time requirements. So maybe we might want to bring that back on, because she did say she traveled, but we never actually told her the time requirements. But for Mr. Lorenz, are you familiar with the time requirements and what we do in our volunteer service here?
Well, Exhibit A, you're here at 7:30 on a Monday, so, or whatever day of the week it is. I've lost track of this week.
You were retired.
Every day Saturday, right?
And that's part of it. Yeah, I have a wide open calendar.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, and I've seen some other candidates that are interested as well, and I'm all about clarity. My wife and I do travel. One of the perks of being a retiree. So, come usually July through probably September, we jump in the RV and we're a goner for a while. Now, I'm not completely disconnected unless I'm hiking up in the mountains or something like that. But so if that's going to be a major issue, I'm all about clarity and being honest and upfront. So, but other than that, when you need me, I'm here.
I mean, I would hope that anybody applying understands that we meet 2 times a month at a minimum, and it's on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Your position is a little bit different. 2 and 4 would be until August, until the primary in August. So that's...
Yeah, I mean, we've had discussions on people participating remotely, and if we had a quorum, it doesn't count towards a quorum, but people can still participate via Zoom. And I know I guess the conclusion at this point is they can't be a voting member. And I'm looking at the assistant city attorney and the city attorney's picture, just to be sure, so that we're clear for Mr. Lorenz. And I appreciate your being upfront, because if everyone has the right understanding, then we avoid disappointment in the future. So,
Vice Mayor, I just want to clarify I brought that forward to you all, and no decision was ever made to amend your rules. So as far as I'm operating, I'm not authorizing people to attend remotely unless that's brought forward to the commission. So if that's something you want me to bring it back to you all again for a decision, I'll be happy to do so. But as of today, that's not the direction that I've been given.
I agree. I was going to clarify, but I think that's a whole nother, appreciate the clarification, but I think we need to concentrate today on...
I don't want misinformation.
I agree.
No, thank you for the clarity. And as I say, so now we've got 2 candidates back-to-back who potentially have some restrictions. Of course, it's up to you and how you handle that. So I just wanted to get that out there, and thank you, City Clerk, for clarifying that. And you know it's something that I've brought up several times, but that's for another meeting and not today. I'm just going through my questions in my head.
Sure.
So, Mr. Lorenzen, anything else you'd like to tell us, and why you think you're the best candidate, and why we should select you?
Well, I'm not the cat's meow. I mean, this whole thing dropped pretty quick, to be honest with you. And I had given it 0 consideration until about 3 days ago when somebody sent out an email from the city. Thank goodness I'm on that email list. And I was like, wow, I had no idea this was happening. So it was kind of a quick thing, like, should I do this? Talk to the wife, talk to my kids, and I quite honestly thought I'd be the only one throwing my hat in the ring. But like I said, I'm glad to see other folks are applying as well. No, I'm here to help. I have a wide open schedule until late summer. I'm available all the time. I love the city of St. Pete Beach. I love Pass the Grill in particular. And I just feel like I'm that guy that will be here when you need me, can sit down, listen impartially, and come to rational decisions for the residents and the businesses of St. Pete, city of St. Pete. Sorry I didn't have time to do a campaign speech.
Thank you. We appreciate you stepping forward.
Nothing more from me.
Any further questions?
No. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Mr. Joe Mulholland. Good morning, sir. We'll start you with the same question as the other applicants. Give us an idea of why you'd like to fill this vacancy. What's motivating you?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that where I am still in many of your shoes and still active in my businesses, I would find it very difficult to fill out a Form 6 because of all the complications involved. I will say that I'm not particularly crazy about disclosing my net worth and every stock and bond, et cetera, that I own. However, I've observed this commission for many months now, and I feel like there's a lot of momentum going on in the city. And for that reason, I'm willing to sacrifice my own personal interest for the benefits of this city that I love and that I've owned a home in since 2007. So far as the reasons for it, I would say the reason changed most recently as a result of all these resignations. I think it's critical that we maintain our independence. I think it's very important that we don't get annexed by St. Petersburg. I think it's very important that we don't have the state making decisions for us. So for that reason, I think it's absolutely critical that we maintain home rule. We have a number of major decisions coming up in the near future: comprehensive plan, city manager, obviously the Serrata and the trade winds, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a critical time in our city, and we don't need a void in our leadership. So for all those reasons, I decided that I would step forward. That was never my plan. I've certainly had a number of people since I've started participating in the meeting in recent months that have asked me if I would ever consider running for political office. That was never really ever part of my plan, but I want what's best for the city that I love and the city that I live in and have decided to die in. So that's my reasoning for putting my name forward.
Thank you, sir.
And also, I might add that my number one priority is protect the interests of the citizens of St. Pete Beach.
Commissioner?
What is your professional background? And are you retired? Are you retired?
I am retired. My professional background is that I was born and raised in Maine. I joined the United States Marine Corps out of high school. I spent 11 years in the Marine Corps. I was meritoriously promoted to every rank up to gunnery sergeant. I served as an infantry unit leader. I served as a drill instructor, a senior drill instructor, an instructor of drill instructors in San Diego, California, a presidential security for Ronald Reagan in Washington, D.C. I chose to start my own business after I cobbled together a bachelor's degree and was too old to be commissioned in the Marine Corps. However, I was accepted for a commission in the Coast Guard, but I turned that commission down to start my own business from a pickup truck and a few $100s. I grew that business to be a $30 million a year business that employed over 200 employees, 180,000 square feet of warehouse space, and over 100 pieces of equipment. After 34 years, I sold that business. I was approached by Berkshire Hathaway to purchase my company. I think anybody that knows who Berkshire Hathaway is know they don't buy ragtag outfits. Once I sold my business to Berkshire Hathaway, I ultimately fully retired, and I've been retired since December of 2021. And I've been involved in any myriad of decisions that a business owner of the scope and scale of the business that I owned and founded, everything from legal to HR to procurement to, commercial contracts, government contracts, et cetera, et cetera. I've been a high-level decision maker. I've been involved in high-level negotiations in the private sector where there's no SOP or any particular guidance or legacy structure that exists to support you while you're making those decisions. So that's my background. I'm a no-nonsense guy. I make the decisions that I think is fair and best for everybody involved.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Can you expand a bit on how you feel with your background, first, sorry, let me ask a different way. Top 2 or 3 issues that you see we have here in the city, and in your views, and how we can approach them?
Well, as I previously stated, I think the number one issue that I'm sure everybody on the commission has thought of this, as well as the attorneys and the city manager. Based on the chaos that we have going on right now with Form 6, we have a real threat as it relates to the independence of our city. St. Petersburg, I'm certain, I owned a condo, or I still own a condo in Terra Verde that I rent out, but I purchased one about 20 years ago in Terra Verde, and St. Petersburg's been trying to annex Terra Verde for as long as I've owned over there. I can't imagine that they're not going to use this moment of weakness to try to annex our city. So to me, the chaos that's been created by Form 6 creates the opportunity for, whether it be St. Petersburg or the state or whatever, to take over our city. So to me, that has jumped to number 1 on our list. The comp plan is number 2, I would say. And protecting the residents of St. Pete Beach, while dovetails into the previous 2, is probably number 3 with me. And I know beach replenishment, Sunrunner, all those items that you folks have been wading through now for months and months. I've missed maybe 1 meeting in the last 7 months, so I'm well aware of what you folks have been dealing with.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Remember, I think you said you'd been in St. Pete Beach resident since 2007?
Yes, I owned a home on Aloha Drive from 2007 until 2014, and I've owned a home in Vina Del Mar since 2014.
Okay, thank you. And how have you been involved in the community?
To be honest with you, I haven't been that involved because I've trusted my city officials. However, in recent months, and the mayor could attest to this, I've attended a number of his mayor's meetings, or mayoral meetings at the library, and I have attended numerous, I think I've maybe missed 1 council meeting or commission meeting, I should say, since April. So I've been highly involved. Before that, I was perfectly happy to be retired and keep getting along because I kind of did my time. I served my country. For 34 years, I ran a highly successful business, and I just kind of wanted to be left alone. But unfortunately, the world hasn't allowed me to be left alone. And for that reason, I've decided to step up, and I started getting engaged 7 or 8 months ago. And for that reason, I've been pretty involved. I haven't volunteered for any boards because I didn't really know how that process worked. What I do know is I've been a decision maker. I've been involved in high leverage negotiations numerous times in my life. Quite frankly, I'm highly qualified to be a commission member. I don't want to seem arrogant or anything like that, but I'm not afraid to make tough decisions. I'm not afraid to piss people off. I'm not worried about the slings and arrows from next door. I'm just going to do, or if selected, I'm just going to do what's in the best interest of the city of St. Pete Beach, and I will commit that during this interim period that I will attend every single commission meeting until the special election in August, barring, obviously, a family emergency.
Good, thank you.
So do you have any conflicts with travel or time away or any issues being at all? I know I've seen you, like you said, virtually every meeting, but going forward from now until August, are there any conflicts?
No, excuse me. I was born and raised in Maine. My father's 87, my mother's 81. I recently bought a home in Maine, in Washington County, Maine, that needs some work, et cetera, et cetera. However, if I am selected for this position, I will coordinate any trips that I have to Maine, barring a death or a family emergency, clearly. I will coordinate any of those trips between any of the commission meetings or any commitments that would be necessary for this position. I just want what's best for our city during this critical time.
Thanks, sir. Any further questions?
Yes, and I'll ask the same question was asked to the other candidates, and it's really a two-part question. So are you a member of any advocacy group or any other organization in the city? My second question is if you can speak a little bit about how, if we select you as commissioner, you'll be representative of all the residents within the district, within your constituency. I did look at the public records. I did see that you made a financial contribution to the mayor's campaign. So we do know that there's an agenda on, the platform was a no development platform. So can you talk about that a little bit and how you, in this role, would be representative of all the views of all the residents? Don't say we have to agree on it all, but we represent, as all of us do, people across our districts and across the city.
Well, first of all, Vice Mayor Grill, my mind does not work as fast as yours, and that's a compliment. That's not a shot. So I'll
Sure.
try to unpack that one step at a time, but if
No
I
problem.
miss something, please double back on me.
No problem.
I did commit, I had no particular agendas in mind in March when some of the mayor's canvassers had reached out to me, while I was outside working in my yard. I had a husband and a wife that approached me and said, "Are you aware of Mayor Petrella or Adrian Petrella was running for mayor?" I said, "Yeah, I don't know a lot about him. I'm not super crazy about Al Johnson and what he's done, but I don't really have an opinion." So those canvassers sold me on what the mayor's direction was. I did a little research, and I said, well, I kind of like what this guy is putting forth. He seems aligned with where I'm at politically. I don't know. I think he's a Democrat. I've generally been a moderate to conservative Republican, but I want what's best for St. Pete Beach. So when I started drilling down on it a little bit, I said, you know what? I kind of like where this guy's head is at compared to our current mayor. So for that reason, I made a donation to him. And I will say, I donated to Donald Trump twice, but I pray to God he's not our option for the next presidential election. So, I'm a fair-minded, I'm a no-nonsense guy, and I evaluate the situation and I make my decisions based on the situation. So that's how it turned out that I donated to the mayor. I also recently donated once to protect St. Pete Beach for just their general fund because it seemed like what they were supporting was aligned with my thought process. Didn't mean I was totally in lockstep with them. It just meant that I liked what they were putting forward, and I thought it was important that we have a voice in the community. So I made a donation to St. Pete Beach, Protect St. Pete Beach, and I subsequently, and I'm going to follow this up, I subsequently made a donation for them to bring an expert in for the Serrata situation. or I shouldn't say situation, that's not appropriate, for their cup. I have never attended a Protect St. Pete Beach function. I know a couple of their representatives well enough to say, hi, Joe Smith, how you doing? But I've never attended any of their functions.
I would like to say, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
I would like to say, and Commissioner Grell, no offense, that was an incredibly unfair question, because there were several commissioners sitting at this dais right now who have made contributions, but I did want to hear his response because I wanted to see how he responded under pressure and how he would respond under maybe unfriendly fire. So I do understand where your question is coming from, but I don't think it was a fair question. We didn't ask the other ones about their political affiliations and donations.
Excuse me, but Mr. Mayor, if I
think
may.
it was important for him to show us exactly how he would respond under serious pressure, and so I do appreciate that.
So if I can clarify, please. I think it was a fair question. I did not ask for political affiliation. I asked about, the question was asked based on public record, which we all have access to. Those campaign records, so the public knows, are public record that are available. They're available, actually, there were public records requests made by certain citizens. They're available on the city clerk's public information website. That's where I found the information. I've looked up all the candidates. And Mr. Mulholland and all residents are free to make political campaign donations as they see fit. I wasn't questioning that. And I don't know why you would interpret that I questioned that. My question was, how will he be fair if he's shown that he has an affiliation to a certain thought process? That's fine. But it's important that our representatives represent all the residents, not just those that we agree with. I can tell you in my district, I have people that I disagree with from time to time. We don't always see eye to eye. I did not ask what his political party was. And those of you who know me, I have said many times, partisan politics have nothing to do with St. Pete Beach. And I'm dismayed that people continue to bring national level and state level politics and partisan politics into St. Pete Beach. It's not healthy for us, it won't help us, and it doesn't matter. What matters is that candidates that I'm going to vote on represent, and I feel comfortable that they represent all the residents of their district. And you know, we don't have, I guess someone has called it we don't stack the deck in one particular way. We need to have people who are fair, willing to stand up, and willing to take a difficult approach if necessary, as I have. I hope that clarifies.
I don't have a problem with any of these questions, to be perfectly honest with you. It doesn't matter who I've donated to. It doesn't matter who I've supported in the past. I'm going to make decisions based on the information that's provided to me that I feel is in the best interest of this city. And certainly, as I say, as a general statement, I believe I'm aligned with the goals of Protect St. Pete Beach, but that does not mean, and I will look them in the eye, because I know a number of them are here now, that does not mean I'm going to rubber stamp whatever they want. Will I absolutely appreciate and consider anything that they put forward? Of course. I would do that for any resident. I want what's best for this city. As I say, I've been a pretty high-level decision maker in some highly successful businesses for many, many, many years. I've served in government in the U.S. Marine Corps. I've dealt with the U.S. State Department. I know how politics works. I know how the government works. I don't necessarily respect how a lot of the government works, but I'm my own man. I'm going to make my own decisions, and I'm going to do, at the end of the day, after I get all the facts, I'm going to do what I believe is in the best interest of this city. I have no desire or I shouldn't say no desire, I've obviously passed that threshold. I'm not particularly motivated about putting my net worth and every stock and bond that I own out in the world for everybody to know what my assets are and what I'm about. However, I'm willing to do that because I want what's best for this city and what's best overall for the residents of this city, and that's who you all, as I know you know, represent, and that's, if chosen, who I'll represent. And my decisions will be based on what I feel is best, and I have a long demonstrated history of doing that in the private sector. I can talk about the military and the Marine Corps and all that, and I am a veteran. I'm not going to play that card. I was a highly successful business owner and started a company from nothing and turned it into a highly successful enterprise that Berkshire Hathaway found interesting enough to purchase.
Thank you. You understood my question perfectly.
Any further question? Thank you, sir. Should we open up for audience comments next?
I could use a restroom break, and just looking at the clock, I probably need to leave by about 9:15.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I can get my technology working for my meeting, so.
How many audience comments do we have?
No one has submitted a card to me. If anyone does desire to speak, I recommend that they get a card and bring it up on the podium.
All right, 5-minute recess. We'll be back at 8:46.
Thank you.
If we can please have quiet in the room. Excuse me. We are back in session. Thank you. City Clerk, do we have any audience comments? If you'll please state your name and address for the record.
Good morning, Deborah Schettner.
Yeah.
Probably your name. Deborah Schettner, Bocasega Isle Drive in St. Pete Beach. Number one, we cannot open this up because the city clerk stated after 5 o'clock yesterday, no more resumes will be accepted. Number two, we already grabbing a replacement for that seat. So then it's unfair to everybody else. It was well advertised. I sent out emails. It was on Nextdoor, on the city website. Other people sent out emails. There's no legal reason to open it up, and that's improper and inappropriate. Think about that. Also, I'd like to mention, hope everybody had a great Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Next comment.
Lisa Robinson.
Good morning. If you'll please state your name and address for the record.
Lisa Robinson, 7100 Bocasega Drive. As you know, I'm the only candidate for District 2, and I just want to say I have a problem with the process as far as opening it back up. I'm sorry that I was the only one that stepped up. It was well advertised. It was told by the city clerk it was 5 o'clock yesterday, and it's not my fault that nobody else decided to put it in. And not only that, you all chose the process for District 4 to step down. I find that unfair. Just stating for the record.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Claudine Reese.
If you'll please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, Claudine Reese, 3120 East Mina. So I would like to just correct the record, perhaps, is what I would like to do with Mr. Vice Mayor Mark Grill. As a representative of Protect St. Pete Beach, I would think that you would know, because I know you do your research, we are not anti-development. We are pro-checks and balances. We are pro-representative of the community as well as the businesses. There should be a win-win, and I know we've stated this before. I know that probably many of the candidates have donated to past mayors, to this mayor. I understand that you want to understand their affiliation and where their mindset is, but I feel that was an unfair representation. And I also would like to add that in our group, Protect St. Pete Beach, we have every party. We have Democrats, we have Republicans, we have the Green Party. We all work together. This is not about national politics. This is about the best thing that's for our city and for the residents, as well as a flourishing tourist industry. So I just wanted to make myself clear so that you understand and that everybody listening understands that that's our mindset. We want a win-win situation with everyone. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask one question for clarity? Are you speaking today as a registered lobbyist on behalf of an organization or as an individual?
I didn't think to put myself as a lobbyist on the card, but I suppose that's how I should have done it. I'm very new at this. I've lived here for close to 30 years. I've been involved in my community almost the whole time, but I haven't always been attending all of the commission meetings, so I am fairly new to this. And I appreciate everybody, no matter your opinion, I appreciate your time and your dedication. So this is not an attack on anyone and your performance. This is us trying to work together. So yes, I suppose I should have said that I'm here as a lobbyist.
And I just want to clarify, I never asked anybody's political affiliation. It was Mr. Mulholland who decided to share which candidates he support. I have gone on the record, and you know multiple times at my dismay that partisan politics are being driven down into this city. It adds to the divisiveness, and that's just my personal opinion. This is not meant, and I don't think I ever mentioned Protect St. Pete Beach in any donation. That was Mr. Mulholland who mentioned that. As the city attorney had said earlier, we need to understand from all the candidates what if they have any affiliation with any advocacy groups.
Completely
That was the purpose of my question. If it was interpreted by you as speaking on behalf of the organization, that I was somehow attacking the organization, I'll state for the record that was wrong. Just want to
Okay.
get it out there so
Okay.
that we all understand what the candidate's frame of reference is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any further audience comments? Okay. We'll close the audience comments. So, I mean, I think we have 3 candidates. I'll speak for myself personally. If I had to narrow it down based on experience, based on the answers to the questions, based on the longevity of residents, and more importantly, community involvement, I would feel personally more comfortable with Mr. Lawrence and Mr. Mulholland. Between those 2 individuals, I think they both have admirable public service qualities and experience serving in our nation. So we certainly appreciate their service in that. It would be hard pressed to really have 2 better, highly qualified individuals, and then we're certainly grateful for both of them stepping up. My recommendation, and based on 2 criteria, would be to nominate Mr. Mulholland. The first criteria being the ability to be at the meetings without any reservation. And the second reason over Mr. Lorenz, which again, I cannot state how in any other day, my vote would be for you. But the other reason is because of Mr. Mulholland's continuous involvement in the city commission meetings over the last 7 to 8 months. I personally have noticed him, in the audience. We've really not had any other interactions. I haven't talked to him this week at all, or at any other time other than when he's been to the mayor's. But because of the number of complex issues that we have been dealing with, that we are going to be dealing with, I personally feel more comfortable with Mr. Mulholland being up to speed as to where we are today, and not having to be caught up and going back and watching meetings. And again, please do not take this, other than to say, Mr. Lorenz, for example, didn't know about the meeting that we had just this past couple of days. And so, because of that, my recommendation would be, and so I would nominate Mr. Joe Mulholland for District 4. I make that motion.
Well, I appreciate your comments, Mayor. I do echo a few things that it's great to see that we have 3 qualified people that want to step up. When I've listened to everything, I would prefer to appoint Richard Lorenzen. He's been more active in the community over a longer period of time, and so that would be the direction that I would like to go in. Go ahead.
Thank you. Look, first I would, are these on? Yeah. I would first like to thank all the candidates for stepping up. It's good to see that we had 3 candidates, even though, as we've discussed, it was in a compressed time. We always appreciate people standing up, and as we move forward, and I've been through this process, and on the other side, there's always plenty of opportunity. So we're always looking for good people at the city level to get involved with the city, with our advisory boards and or commission seats, or just being involved with the city, if not in a formal manner, but just being involved and sharing thoughts and comments. I would echo that, I believe Mr. Lorenzen and Ms. Mulholland have excellent, both have very good backgrounds and excellent experiences. A little bit different and a little bit of a different approach, or different experiences will give them a different approach, I should say, to the commission seat. I think Ms. Bonzel, I appreciate her stepping up, and I think there'll be opportunity for her in the future. I'm going to continue to think a little bit, and I'd like to hear comments from my colleague before I cast my final vote.
Just real quick, I'd like to say thank you to all the applicants also. I appreciate everybody stepping up. I think we have three great options here. And Ms. Bonsall, I think the only downside is maybe the opportunity to not be here all the time. That would be my only downside to that. And of the other two candidates, both, again, thank you for your service to our country. We really appreciate that, but I have a tendency to lean towards nominating or looking to appoint Mr. Lorenzen.
We do have a motion on the floor. We do have a motion on the floor, so we can't have another motion until that one dies or is amended.
I would like to hear a little bit more from Commissioner Grill.
Sure. Look, I think both candidates have good experiences, but as I listen through, I mean, this is a tough decision, and that's a good thing because we've got two good candidates. But listening through, I think I would. I think the background from Mr. Lorenzen and his involvement. I would cast my vote for him.
So having said that, I would prefer, if the mayor would be so inclined, to withdraw your motion, because I'd rather this be a positive thing instead of a negative thing, so respectfully.
I will withdraw my motion.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I will make a motion to appoint Richard Lorenzen to District 4 Commissioner.
Second.
City Clerk, if you'll please do a roll call.
Commissioner Frozowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Grouse?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grill?
Yes.
Mayor Petrella?
For the reasons stated previously, no.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I think we have two things we need to clarify really quick before we adjourn. I'm not sure which two things you're referring to.
I'm talking about the reopening, because I have to do a whole new advertising and the schedule.
So first is the attendance via Zoom. As we discussed at the meeting on Monday, I will not be in town next week, so I will be attending via Zoom. And per the decision that we made on Monday was that I will be allowed to vote while I may not count towards the quorum. And so I just want to clarify that because we had that conversation earlier. And so while I understand what you said for general meetings for these coming meetings next week, we made that decision this past Monday, so I just wanted to clarify that. The second part is about reopening. In the normal process of putting a name forward to be a commissioner or mayor, we have a declaration period, which is any number of days. Your responsibility is to put your name in the hat during that period. If you do not do so, we had our qualifying period last November. It was open for a week. People knew about it, those who wanted to. Again, there were several, there's one that ran unopposed. If somebody now wanted to come and say, hey, I would like to put my name in the hat for the March election, that window has closed. And so my recommendation would be that we do not reopen the qualifying period for the remaining 3 seats. That period was open. Everybody had the opportunity based on the number. I mean, we had 4 people apply for one district, 3 for the other. Obviously, people were aware of it. People were, notified of it. I do not see any reason to reopen that. We already have a lot in front of us to do, and this will just unnecessarily burden the process. And so my recommendation is that we leave it closed as we had previously decided, because the conversation we had was that if we did not have any candidates applying, then we might reopen it, but that's not been the case. We've had candidates for all 4 districts. If anybody else had been interested in District 2, I'm certain that they would have stepped forward.
So I respectfully disagree. I think that, my guiding light, and we've heard it sort of time and time again here even from potential commissioners, is let's do what's in the best interest of the city. And this is a unique situation. This is not a regular election. This is totally different than that. Someone could have been on vacation. Someone could have had personal issues. And so why not, in the best interest of the city, and we heard it from our city attorney that it would be perfectly legal, I think it's not only a good idea, I think it's a great idea to open it up. It's not more complicated. How long did it take us to look at these resumes? I think we're all smart enough to be able to do that pretty quickly, and I would rather do that and open it up for next week.
I agree with Commissioner Frizzlowski. I would like to see it opened up again, just in case we have more applicants. Like you say, there could have been emergency situations, and just to try to get as much input as we can, I think is a good thing.
I would echo that. I raised the question at the beginning of the meeting about whether we could be considered as interim, only to basically extend the clock. Is there a way that, we're running at the speed of light here. Our qualifying period is usually longer. Our notice period, people are familiar with the elections. People are aware when the positions will be opening. And we did this in, I think, 48 hours. So I think that's extremely fast. And we, no criticism on anybody. We went out and put out as many feelers and many emails and telephone calls, et cetera, as we could. But did it reach everybody? And we know that even despite our best efforts, there's still some people, I'm sure today, some residents go, well, I didn't know this was happening. So they might have put up their hand. So I leave it at that. I guess, can we hear from the city attorney
Yes.
on this?
This is one part of the problem with this, the new law, is that I don't think that they took into consideration the difficulty it is to find people who want to serve in this capacity. It's hard enough getting people on boards and committees. So I would take whatever steps are necessary to keep, to open the field as much as possible, for as long as possible, with the understanding that we're going into a Christmas weekend. Staff, all of us are planning have Christmas plans, but I see no reason why you can't, and you talked about it at your last meeting, and you're reopening it. So, obviously the people that have already submitted their names, thank you. It would be great if we had more to choose from, that at least somehow softens the blow of having almost nearly a complete appointed commission. So I would stick to our recommendation that you reopen it and see if anybody else who may not have heard of it or is on the verge of thinking of it, was on the fence and now has had the opportunity to watch this process and may be interested in getting involved. I think that's the fairest thing.
So would we reopen then?
Do we need a motion to reopen the process?
I think it's, again, it is unfair to reopen it. We had a qualifying period. Everybody had the opportunity. And the challenge we're having is that we're scrambling at the last minute to make these decisions. We knew about Form 6, and if y'all want to take offense to this, I apologize in advance. We knew about Form 6 months and months in advance. There's no reason to leave this to the very last commission meeting of the year for us to then have to have 7 emergency commission meetings in a 2-week period, where I've committed to, while I'm out of the country on vacation, to attend those meetings. So I've made every allowance to make sure that we address this. I think it is unfair to the candidates for all 3 remaining districts that we reopen it. The qualifying period was opened, it was closed, we had people submitting stuff. The last one I saw was at 4:58. Clearly, people knew. And there were several that seems like they waited until last minute to make sure that they saw who else put their names in, and to get in just under the deadline. I think it is unfair to those candidates, just like in a regular election. You wouldn't reopen it just because only Mrs. Reznicki put her name in for District 3. She's commissioner-elect. If now somebody else wants to come in, sorry, that window has closed. We have to have a fair process for everyone. We've had a fair process. To reopen it now opens a can of worms, and now the process is no longer fair. And so, again, my recommendation is we move forward as is. I think we should set a schedule for which districts we want to tackle on which day. That we have that in the next 5 minutes, since Commissioner Frizlowski needs to. So I would say, which commissioners do we want to tackle on Tuesday, which on Wednesday, which on Thursday, and then leaving Friday for the emergency.
Well, let's clarify District 2. We've heard from all of us. We've heard from our city attorney. I guess what I'd like to clarify, what's it going to take to make sure that that district is opened up?
Why don't we that district?
Or all 3 of them?
Yeah.
Everything.
All 3 of us.
I think.
I actually appreciate you saying that.
What does it serve? We haven't clarified.
It's
We
in a
have
bit,
qualifying
Mayor,
period?
Mayor, I have about 4 minutes now.
Sure.
And I think we've all made our positions clear. It's in the best interest of the city.
Do we need to make a motion to open?
Yes. Yes.
Also move that.
Second.
Commissioner Grouse?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grill?
Yes.
Commissioner Frizlowski?
Yes.
Mayor Petrella?
No.
Motion carries.
Now I think
What
we
is, what is the motion?
And-
What is the motion open?
This is,
I can't hear, I'm sorry, Mayor.
What was the motion, please? Can you please read it for me?
Did you say reopen all of them?
Yes.
That's the last thing that was
Well,
stated,
except
right?
for 4.
Well, yeah,
Right.
4, right, because you voted on that.
Yes.
That's my understanding.
That's what I understood the motion to be. Reopen all 3.
And for the record, Mr. Mayor, I do take offense at your comment. I didn't sit on this till the last minute. This was one of the most difficult decisions in my life that I had to make. Don't look at this lightly. I didn't do this personally to cause chaos in the city. Yes, we knew this was coming. I looked at every opportunity to try and find a way to stay in this seat. And in the way my finances are structured, I'll be very blunt. I have a lot to put on that form. I'm proud of that fact. I'm not hiding anything from anybody, as I've been accused of. I haven't structured my finances in a way that I don't have a lot to put on there. I'll just say that for the record. Let's move on, please.
can we just get a point of clarity? When is the deadline?
Till open.
Agree.
Should be till open, till filled.
Just,
Till filled.
I mean, all of this does fall on me, just so that we're clear. I have to redo everything that I've already done.
Our meeting is,
So I do
26.
need some
our meeting
direction
is
because,
Tuesday at 2 p.m. It's a scheduled meeting.
okay, well, last time, all you said was December 20th. So I came up with 5 p.m.
No, I said end of business December 20th.
Okay, well, end of business would have been 4:30, but I decided 5 o'clock just to be end of business for regular people. So yes, if I could have better clarity, please.
Next meeting is Tuesday,
2 o'clock.
noon on Tuesday.
I would agree. We're through a holiday weekend. Give people till noon.
Yep, I would agree.
Is that feasible? Is that just for the person that we're nominating on Tuesday, or is that for all of them?
Yeah, because I don't want to be doing this every time. It is a lot of work, and I'm not saying that I won't do it or I can't do it. I will do it, and I'll make it happen. But I would like some consideration for the effort that
So
is going.
if I may make a recommendation, and it's up to the commission, but why don't you keep it open, okay, until the position's filled? And that's just,
So if somebody,
no, okay, but the deadline for the, and you're about to lay out what district it is. So the deadline for the district will be an hour before the meeting.
noon,
Okay, or noon before the meeting. So if we're doing District 2 on Tuesday, then submissions are up until noon, and then at that point, no more submissions, but then 3 and 1 are still open.
Okay.
Well, if the meetings are at 7:30 in the morning, it would have to be
Well, and that was
the day
just
before.
based on Commissioner Marone's availability, who's no longer here, so we can also move those meetings. Sorry, Amber, I'll help you with notices.
no, we're not moving the meetings. I think at this point, we've notified them. I've made special arrangements to be available for
Yeah,
those
yeah,
meetings.
they'll move
It was
them.
just a suggestion.
Yeah.
I'm not the decision maker here.
So we leave the meetings 7th as scheduled.
Are we going to make a decision on which districts we're going to do at each meeting? I know Commissioner Frizzlowski needs to move on.
Yes.
We started with 4, go 3, 2, 1, just next week.
Just trying to think this thing through, out of respect for the commissioner-elect in District 3. I don't know how much time she needs, and I think it'd be best to leave that one as last, only because the more time that's available for that is just kind of my thinking, so.
I think one should be ready to go.
So we can do 1 on Tuesday,
2 on
2
Wednesday?
on Wednesday, 3 on Thursday.
Yes.
One, two, three.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So then,
So then-
applications for District 1 will close noon on the 26th. What about for Districts 2, that starts at 7:30, and District 3 at 7:30? Do you want it 5 o'clock the day before, and I'll forward them to you?
What time do you normally leave, if you don't mind me asking? I know next week is a holiday weekend, so maybe 2 or 3 o'clock to make sure that you have plenty of time to post them? So if it's
Yeah.
5 o'clock, you're
Be
already past
helpful.
your,
Yeah, it is more time-consuming to post to the website than it is to forward, but I understand we need to be doing that for public. So it would be helpful at noon, Mayor, yes.
Okay.
So noon the previous day.
Correct. So Tuesday would be noon Tuesday, because I'm not working on Christmas, I'm sorry.
No.
So noon Tuesday, but then Tuesday would be noon for 1 and 2, and then noon Wednesday for District 3.
okay, thank you. Any further discussion or comments? All right, we are adjourned.
Thank you.